You've definitely seen them. Those little boxes with the blinking lights tucked away in a corner of your house or office, the ones that connect you to the internet. Well, they might all look kind of the same, but a hub, a switch, and a router are completely different animals. So let's dive in and finally get to the bottom of what each one of these things actually does.
Right, so here's the million-dollar question. All three of these devices get your computer, your phone, and your TV online. But the way they do it, it's worlds apart. We're talking huge differences in intelligence, in speed, and in security. And honestly, getting this difference is the key to understanding how all networks, especially your own, really tick.
All right, we're going to start with the oldest and, frankly, the simplest of the bunch. And to get what it does, I want you to just picture someone with absolutely zero filter. Let's call them the dumb shouter.
So a hub is networking at its most basic level. It's for connecting devices in a local network, what we call a LAN. It works at what's called the physical layer, or layer 1 of the network. And really, all it does is take whatever electrical signal comes in one of its ports, and it just blasts that same signal out of every other port. There's no thinking involved, none whatsoever.
In this analogy, it is perfect. Imagine one computer sends a message to another computer through a hub. The hub has no idea who it's for. So what does it do? It just stands up and shouts that message to every single device connected to it. It doesn't matter if you were supposed to get it or not, you're hearing the secret.
And yeah, you can probably guess, this is a terrible way to run a network. First, you get insane traffic jams because everybody's getting everybody else's information. Second, if two devices try to shout at the same time, their messages just crash into each other and become junk. And third, it's a security nightmare. Anyone on the network can easily eavesdrop on data meant for someone else, which is exactly why you basically never see hubs anymore. They're completely obsolete.
Thankfully, technology got a whole lot smarter. So let's leave the chaos of the shouter behind and meet a much more refined and efficient character, the smart postman.
The switch is the modern device that replaced the hub. It's way more intelligent, operating at layer 2, the data link layer. And its killer feature is this. It doesn't just blindly shout everything. It actually pays attention and learns where every device on the network lives.
So how does it pull this off? Well, first, it listens. It learns the unique hardware ID, the MAC address, of every single device that's plugged into it. It then builds a little address book, called a MAC address table, that matches each address to a specific physical port. So, when a piece of data comes in, the switch just glances at the destination, checks its address book, and sends the data only to the one port where it's supposed to go. No more shouting.
The smart postman idea really nails it. A switch doesn't just dump the entire neighborhood's mail in the middle of the street and hope for the best. Nope, it reads the address on every single letter and puts it directly into the correct mailbox. It's clean, it's private, and it's super efficient.
And this smarter approach builds a fundamentally better network. The switch fixes every single problem the hub had. It slashes network congestion because messages go direct. It gets rid of collisions because each port has its own private lane. And it makes things way more secure because your computer isn't seeing a bunch of data that was never meant for it. This is why switches are the backbone of pretty much every modern local network out there.
Okay, so far, we've only been talking about connecting devices that are in the same room, in the same building, and one local network. But what about connecting your network to the entire rest of the world? For that, you need a totally different kind of smarts. You need the global ambassador.
And this brings us to the router. It's the brainiest of the bunch, working at layer 3, the network layer. Now, here's the most important thing to remember. A switch connects devices, but a router connects networks. Its whole job is to be the gateway between your private little network and the gigantic public network we all call the internet.
The global ambassador analogy works perfectly. Just think of your home network as its own little country, and the internet is, well, the rest of the world. The router sits right at the border. When a piece of data from your country wants to go somewhere else, the router looks at its final destination in another country and figures out the absolute best path to send it on its way. And to navigate the world, it uses a different kind of address. A switch uses local, physical MAC addresses. A router uses global IP addresses. So here's what it does. A data packet arrives, it reads the destination IP address, it consults its map of the internet, its routing table, to find the most efficient route, and then it forwards the packet to the next stop on its journey. It's just a series of incredibly smart handoffs, all across the globe.
Okay, so we've met the dumb shouter, the smart postman, and the global ambassador. Let's put them all side by side and really nail down how this all fits together.
This chart really sums it all up. Look at their primary job. The hub and switch both connect devices, but the router connects whole networks.
The OSI layer shows their place in the hierarchy, from the simple physical layer to the data link layer up to the network layer. And look at what they base decisions on. The hub uses nothing, the switch uses local MAC addresses, and the router uses global IP addresses. You can see the story of network evolution right here, from dumb to smart to very smart.
So this all leads to a really practical question. What about that one box your internet provider gave you, the one blinking away in your living room right now? Which one is it? Is it a hub, a switch, a router?
And here is the big reveal. It's actually all of them. Your home router is really a clever combo device. See that one single port that's usually labeled WAN or Internet? That's the router part, your gateway to the world. Then you've got those multiple LAN ports, usually in a block of 4. That's a built-in switch for all your wired stuff. And that Wi-Fi signal? Well, that's coming from a built-in wireless access point. It's a router, a switch, and more, all packed into one box.
And that's really why this all matters. Because whether you're just trying to troubleshoot your home Wi-Fi or you're setting up a network for a whole office, knowing what each of these components does, knowing the difference between your local switch and your global router is absolutely fundamental to building a network that's fast, reliable, and secure.
So, we figured out that switches and routers are like brilliant traffic cops for the internet, using MAC and IP addresses to get data where it needs to go. But that brings up one last kind of scary question. This whole system relies on having enough addresses to go around. So what happens when the internet gets so big that we actually start to run out? We'll dig into that next time. Thanks for joining me.